Hello. Welcome back to algebra class. Today we're going to be talking about substitution. Our objective for today is to solve systems of equations algebraically by using substitution. Substitution is best used when one of your variables is already solved for, or alone. There are 4 steps in order to be able to solve an equation using substitution. In the upper left-hand corner, you want to make sure to have your original system of equations. This is the spot where you would get a variable by itself if you have to. After you've completed step 1, you're going to move on to step 2, which is to substitute the equation solved in the first step into the other equation. Step 3 is to substitute the value of the variable found in the second step into the equation. Step 4 is to write your solution as an XY ordered pair. Now, this cross method that I use is not the only method to use for solving by substitution, but I feel that is the easiest way to organize your thoughts. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So, use substitution to solve the following system of equations. The first thing I'm noticing is that I do have a variable by itself. So what I'm going to do is whatever equation has the variable by itself, I'm going to circle the other stuff. So in this case, that's 1 minus 4y. And then my other step is I'm actually going to write this equation down here. So I say 2. Instead of an x, I know that x is actually equal to 1 minus 4y. So I'm actually going to write that 1 minus 4y in place of the x. Now, my next step is going to be to distribute that 2. So I'm going to go ahead. I have 2 minus 8y. I still also have plus 7y equals 3. Now I want to combine my like terms, which I have a negative 8y and a 7y. So to do that, I'm going to rewrite that as 2 minus 1y equals 3. Now I have to try and get y by itself, so to do that, I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. So I get negative 1y equals 1. Then I am going to divide both sides by negative 1. And I'm left with y equals negative 1. I am going to use that in my next box here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this equation. So I say x equals 1 minus 4. Instead of a y, though, I actually know y is equal to negative 1, so I'm going to use that. Now I simplify that as much as possible, so I have x equals 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4, so I get x equals 5. So I have my 2 solutions. I write it in my fourth box as an xy ordered pair. So in this case, x always comes first, so it's going to be 5, comma, negative 1. So these 2 equations would cross at the point 5, comma, negative 1. Let's go ahead and look at our next problem. In this case, I have y by itself, so I'm going to go ahead, circle that. I'm going to use my other equation here. So I say x plus 3, instead of a y, I know y is actually equal to x minus 8, and that's equal to 12. I go ahead and solve this equation exactly like I know how to do. So my first step is going to be to distribute I'm going to combine my like terms, which I have an x and a positive 3x. So I have 4x minus 24 equals 12. I'm going to add 24 on both sides. And I'm going to say 4x equals 36. Next up, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So I get x equals 9. I'm then going to use that right up here. So I use my I use my bottom equation. And I say y equals, I know my x is actually equal to 9. So I'm going to rewrite that with 9 minus 8. Simplify that. 9 minus 8 is 1, so I know y is 1. I write it as an xy ordered pair, so x comes first. 9, comma 1 would be my solution. So these two lines, if you graph them, would cross at the point 9, comma 1. Let's look at our next example. Here we have a y by itself, so it's 2x minus 3 is what I'm going to be substituting. So I'm going to say 2x minus y. I'm sorry, instead of a y, I don't actually use that. I say 2x, I know my y is actually equal to 2x minus 3, and that equals 8. Now, I have 2x minus 2x plus 3 when I distribute. I have like terms of 2x and negative 2x, and those actually cancel each other out. So I end up with 3 equals 8. Now, this should give you a big red flag here because, number one, I have no variables anymore. Number two, I want you to ask yourself, does 3 actually equal 8? And no, it does not. So this is false. So we would say that this has no solution. Now, the reason this has no solution is because if you have a number equal to another number, what those two lines actually are is parallel to each other. So you would say no solution. Another way to write it is just the null set, like so. If you get a number equal to itself, such as 7 equals 7, that is actually infinitely many solutions. So that is not the case here, but you would say infinite solutions. That basically means you have a line right on top of another line. But in this case, we have a number equal to a different number, and that is not okay, so we say our answer is no solutions. Let's look at our final problem. It says, Mrs. Travis wants to have a clown deliver balloons to a birthday party. Clowns Are Fun charges $1.25 per balloon and $6 for delivery. Singing Balloons charges $1.95 per balloon and $2 for delivery. What is the minimum number of balloons Mrs. Travis needs to purchase in order for Clowns Are Fun to have a lower price than singing balloons? So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and make my cross. And I need to write my two equations. So my first equation is going to be Clowns Are Fun. So that charges $1.25 per balloon and $6 for delivery. So I'm going to say y equals, my slope is 125 per balloon, so I'd say b, plus $6. The other equation I have is Singing Balloons charges $1.95 per balloon and $2 for delivery. So I'd say y equals $1.95 per balloon plus $2 delivery fee. Let's go ahead and solve this thing out. You'll notice I have both equations equal to y. So what you can actually do in this case is set these two things equal to each other because they are the same. We want to know when they are equal. So what we can do is we can say $1.25 per balloon plus 6 has to be equal to $1.95 per balloon plus 2. Now I just need to solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to try and get B by itself. So in this case, I'm going to move my numbers over. So I'm going to say minus 2, minus 2. You could subtract 6. It really won't matter in the end. So I have 125B plus 4 equals $1.95B. Now, I'm going to subtract $1.25 on both sides because I want to get B by itself. When I do that, I get 4 equals 0.75B. My final step is going to be to divide by 0.75 to get B alone. And when I do that, I can actually use my calculator to help me out there. So I say 4 divided by 0.75 is 5.33, so we would actually say 5. So 5 balloons is when clowns are fun would be cheaper. So we would say at 5 balloons. And we are all done with that problem. That's it for today. I will see you guys in class.